Mr. President, I want to thank you for the statement today that the White House strongly condemns the video that was edited to show you murdering a range of politicians and journalism outlets, including the Young Turks. I also want to tell you that it's not enough. It's not enough because it's like condemning the number 4 after spending years telling people to add up 2 and 2. It's not enough because even if you or the video's creators don't really wish harm on the media, some do, and the video plus your statements could add up to violence in their hands. You can't be held responsible for other people's actions unless those actions could reasonably be foreseen as a result of your words if you took the time beforehand to reflect or even apply some kind of standards or rigor to what you're going to say. And in your case, we can reasonably foresee that real violence can result from your encouragements of violence, from your vitriol toward the press. So if you really strongly condemn the video, here's what you need to do. Explain why. Explain to your supporters that a healthy democracy doesn't just allow, but requires adversarial journalism. Explain to your supporters that adversarial journalism means corporate media will sometimes challenge presidential power because they're supposed to. It means that independent media will sometimes challenge corporate power because they're supposed to. And it means that progressive media will sometimes challenge conservative media because they're supposed to. Explain that journalism is the first draft of history. It's messy, and journalists make mistakes, and sometimes we get it wrong. Explain that this doesn't make any of the media bad people. It doesn't mean we're acting on bad faith. It does not mean we're the enemy. What's true for journalism is true for government. Checks and balances don't clog up the engine, they are the engine. American democracy moves, and ideally moves forward, precisely because competing ideas fight for public support. If you are losing, and by the way, you are losing, that doesn't prove your opponents are bad. It's evidence your ideas are bad. If you do not get this, you will be remembered as un-American to your core, as committing proudly and openly acts of wrongdoing that the worst previous presidents would have been ashamed to get caught doing secretly, as constantly punching those weaker than you and elevating those worse than you simply because they support you, all because you reject the basic principle of competing interests having the right and the obligation to oppose you and each other. So if you really want to avoid that legacy, if you really want to avoid more bloodshed tied directly to your rhetoric, if you really strongly condemn wish fulfillment fantasies of violent retribution against your enemies, it's time to defend their right to be your enemies. Until the day that you stand up for the right and the need, America's need, for an adversarial press, all your strong condemnations add up to is fake news.